We're going live.
All right, welcome into Before Floor, an extension of Five on the Floor and Floor's Yours. We've got another game today, Heat Bucks, coming up at 4 o'clock. Let's see who I have with me today. I never know. This is just, everybody just joins. I've got Brady Hawk. I've got Greg Sylvander. I think we're going to have a couple others here who are joining as well. We're going to be doing this now. We're doing it at halftime. And then we're going to do a regular Floor's Yours after the game with just the crew of Five on the Floor. And that's actually going to go up as a podcast as well. All right, let's get right to it. The Heat play the Bucks. The big news today is the Bucks are whole, the Heat are not. The Bucks are playing their starters. Their regular big starting lineup is playing today. The Heat are without Jimmy Butler, who, according to Tim Reynolds, who is on the scene today, he is in the bubble. Tim reported that Jimmy walked in slippers, and he doesn't have a limp. So he's being listed as a foot injury. They're not going to be real specific about this. I know there's been a lot of mystery about Jimmy, kind of what's going on here. There's not as much mystery about Goran. Goran's out. He's questionable. He tweaked the ankle, turned it on Jason Tatum the other day. It looked sort of bad at the time. Then it looked like he was okay. We were worried about an Achilles. It doesn't appear that that's the case. And so I think the long-term prognosis is good. All right, so do we have a starting lineup yet? Is that out yet?
No. Not that I know of.
Not for the Heat. The Bucks are with their normal five. The Heat, it's still TBD.
All right, so I would anticipate Crowder, Nunn, Duncan, Bam.
Maybe they size up.
Maybe they size up. That's what I was thinking. Is it possible that Myers Leonard gets a start today?
I think it definitely is possible, but I saw some. When I look back at those games, Olynyk had both those games had big games, and I don't know if that's a matchup thing with Brook Lopez or what it is, but I don't think he can bang down low with him. But the way he stretches the floor as Myers does, but it's just something with that matchup with Olynyk and Lopez.
Yeah, no, you're right. The question is whether Olynyk started the last game, and he's been one of the better players in the bubble Kelly. I don't know, and they only played two bigs in the last game. I would assume Myers gets minutes though today, right? Like,
if he doesn't get minutes today, I don't know when they're going to come. I mean, like this right. is it. And I just overall would caution anyone taking too much from this game specifically from a Heat perspective. I would go into it with no expectations other than hoping that nobody gets injured. I wouldn't be making any firm declarations on what the Heat are or are not from this game because it's the Bucks. They've lost 5 out of 6 if you count their couple of losses right before everyone went on hiatus back in March. So, like, at some point they're going to start righting the ship, and I feel like a game like this where they're fully whole and the Heat are not, it kind of lines up that way.
You would think so, but a couple things here. There are things that I do think we can take away. I almost think to a degree, and I don't know how hurt Jimmy is, okay? I mean, with Dragic, it was pretty assumed he was going to sit out today when we saw the injury. But you do want to give Kendrick Nunn an opportunity to prove he still belongs in the starting lineup, let alone the rotation. And
good point.
I mean, you've cleared out all the hurdles for him now. There's no Jimmy. There's no Goran.
Plenty of shots, plenty of ball handling.
And he didn't play badly against the Bucks this year. He averaged 15 on 44% shooting. So he played fine against Milwaukee this season. It's not like the Toronto situation where he didn't play well against the Raptors at all. He'll probably see a lot of Bledsoe, who's a physical guard, but who he could play in terms of height is not problematic for him. A very good defender, obviously. But they'll probably give him some threes. I mean, to me, he's the most he just jumps off the page. He's the most important player today. I'm with you on the rest of this, and people are saying 3KZ on Twitter. It's not happening. First thing, he's out again today. Yeah. Gabe Vincent is out again today. So
they could have used him today. I feel like this is a perfect Gabe Vincent game, and that's kind of by the wayside too.
If he was healthy, he would play. So you're really looking at just Kendrick Nunn. I mean, that's pretty much it. And I'm with you. I do think that the one thing that is valuable in this game to look at is that you haven't played – they played Milwaukee twice before they made the trade, right?
Yes.
Okay. No, they played them once after the trade.
Oh, they did.
They played them – I think – don't they play them – the first game was like the second game of the season or something.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. You're right. The second one was after the trade. You're right about that.
Okay, so that's not as significant because I was thinking just the opportunity to see Iguodala and Crowder maybe take some turns on Giannis. Obviously, they're going to see a lot of Middleton. Jimmy's going to play Middleton a lot if there's a playoff series. now you have a situation where, again, you don't have Jimmy. So a lot more is going to fall on Andre, I would think. A lot more is going to fall on Crowder. I think DJJ gets more minutes today than he has seen recently. But for the Heat to be competitive today, this has to be the Nunn Hero game. Really.
Yeah. I mean, Hero, you hit on it. Like, that's where I was going next, is that I feel like if there was ever a game where he could be the featured offensive player, particularly with Bam, because you see, like, if Bam is going to get any extended stretches, and we're talking in a vacuum to win this one game, if Bam is seeing coverage against Giannis late, he may not be able to necessarily go full bore on offense on every possession, and you're going to kind of need that from him. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But that opens up Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, fire it up.
Yep. Talking about Hero, I'm more interested in kind of seeing how the playmaking aspect is. You look at the way without Butler and Dragic, I think the playmaking side of him being a ball handler and a passer might open up today a little bit more than scoring.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be the point guard off the bench, basically. You see the starting lineup. So it is Kelly Olynyk. So they stay with the same lineup as the last game without Jimmy. I'm curious now, when Jimmy's back, which of those two guys, the center or the center right guy, go out of the starting lineup? Because if Eric has shown a willingness to play Kelly as a starter, he might stay with it. Right? I mean, we've assumed he was going to go to Jay as the permanent starter because when he moved Myers out.
It's true. But KO's played so good. Like, at some point, you got to look at that and say, like, this guy has been you think he's been our second best player? Like, so at that point, listen to me saying I just can't break myself of it. I'm sorry, Ethan. Yeah, I mean, at some point you have to think about Olynyk being in that starting unit. I know they wanted to go smaller, but Olynyk does stretch the floor in ways similar to Jay. So I don't think you lose a ton that way.
Right.
So I think it's worth monitoring.
I definitely think it's a matchup thing too, just because if a team like Boston, I think you start Crowder over Olynyk, but a team like Toronto, I think maybe you think about going the Olynyk way just because so Bam can guard Siakam or something, and just in that way, I don't know if that would.
But Brady Eric hasn't done that. That's the thing. At least in the bubble, he hasn't done that. I mean, he was playing against Denver, and you would have thought he would have started the extra bigs, and he went small. So he might zig where they zag. The questions that are coming in here, Nunn has to have a good game. I mean, it is a lot about Kendrick. I mean, Hero, yes, I agree. To win this game, Hero's going to have to be great. But
to be competitive.
But the only thing I care about for the Heat going forward, because the win is Nunn. Like, we've kind of seen enough of Hero here in the bubble. Like, I think you feel pretty good about Hero going into the playoffs at this stage. You don't feel good about Kendrick. To me, the story. I mean, yes, to win, they both have to be good. But if Hero has a bad game today, I'm okay. Whatever. If Nunn has another bad game in this circumstance, then I think we got to start talking about it even more. Somebody asked if Myers is a player. He just sent it back to the Koi Fish Palace. Hello, Kylie.
Hi, how are you guys?
We're good. We're going to jump in here in a second. I mean, I think if you don't, to me, Nunn is the story today. But the other question that just came in was Crowder, and if he's starting, he is starting. So again, for those who's coming in now, it's Olynyk and Crowder at forward, Bam at center. I mean, Bam or Olynyk, and then Duncan and Kendrick at the guards. But what we were discussing was whether Kelly remains the starter here going forward. I want to transition a little bit because the big NBA news of the day, I really think we should address it, which is because it affects the Heat, is Ben Simmons may be out a month. I mean, that's what that injury typically takes. It's a kneecap injury. I know that I threw it on Twitter. I said, well, who would you rather play now? Assuming that the Pacers don't have Sabonis, and assuming that the Pacers don't have Sabonis and the Sixers don't have Simmons. And it basically came down 50-50 now. Kylie, who do you want? Philly?
Who do I want?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I hate Philly. So, yeah, I'm actually in Philadelphia right now staying with people who are Philadelphia fans. And it's been horrendous.
Leave. You're going to, I mean.
I know, but I'm homeless. I had no choice. I'm literally homeless.
So you got, I mean, I know a little about contagion right now, and you're going to get, I mean, that the Philly fans could be contagious in some ways.
I tested negative, okay? And I have another test coming up
now you're going to test positive for Sixer fan. And
too much process. Too much process.
It's much
No, I'm holding down the fort. I'm making them watch Heat games. It's going great.
That's good. So you want
I'm going to
Philly
convert them.
You want Philly because you hate them.
Yeah, honestly, I think of right now, like teams that seem like they might be actual contenders. Yeah, Philly. I mean, in some way or the other.
I mean, what do they look like without Simmons if it's extended? Because they have played better without him in the past. Sometimes.
All I know is that like everyone that all the Philly, because I've obviously been talking to Philly fans lately, they're so like, oh my God, I don't want to use inappropriate language, but oh my God, they are so hard for Joel Embiid. It's just like, I guess like he's the reason their team is going to win. Like seems to be the general idea.
It does seem like they've picked a side between Embiid and Simmons. If they're going to pick a side, it seems like they've picked a side. But they have. Go ahead.
Embiid being injured would be way worse for them, in my opinion.
Particularly in the playoffs. I feel like there's a contingent of Sixers fans that actually may be able to talk themselves into in a very Heat Homer-esque move that they can actually be a more cohesive unit without Simmons, and that building around Embiid and putting shooters around him and stuff like that maybe could play into their advantage in certain ways. I'm not buying that at all. I feel like these are your main pillars of the organization, and like how to make that work. I'm not feeling it. So ultimately, I think you want the Sixers. Now the Pacers are playing really good. They're scrappy. I mean, all of those grit and grind type terms kind of apply to them. So I think now Sixers will drop to 6. So you may actually, you got to get to the 3 to play.
Well, I don't know if they're going to drop to 6 looking at their schedule. I mean, I subjected myself to that entire game yesterday because I'm quarantined. And I will tell you.
That's insult to injury, Ethan. What are you doing to yourself? Take care of yourself.
I know. I need to get some more zinc. That was horrible to watch. I mean, they won that game just because Washington was not even a G League team. And so, they're going to win some of these games just because their schedule is so soft to finish here that they're going to win them by accident. So I'm not so sure that they're going to fall to 6, probably, but I'm not so sure. But the other thing about it is with Indiana, I feel like everybody feels T.J. Warren's a fluke. All right, so I did a little research and I put a story on our site. T.J. Warren's was killing it for a month before the season broke. If you look at his numbers in February and March, it's like a 12 to 15 game sample size. He averaged 20 points on 56% from the field. Okay, so yes, they expanded his role, but like he's been playing like this for a while. I'm not so sure. I know Heat fans like to mock him and Jimmy, and he's not on my level. He was on Jimmy's level for about a month, and so I wouldn't look past them entirely. But Brady, if they don't have Sabonis, to me, that's a big factor against the Heat in the matchups.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the biggest thing. Yeah, I think, but the Heat might match up a little bit better with Crowder, the lineup they've been going with now that the Indiana's going smaller, the way that Miami's been going smaller. But I definitely think Sabonis would have been a huge factor in that series, just the way he's been playing this year. After he was an all-star, he was very, very good. But I think T.J. Warren stepping up is a big thing. I think Jimmy could handle himself on the defensive side with him, and I don't think Miles Turner is what people thought he was going to be like 2 years ago. I think Bam would have that matchup by far, obviously, but I think in all, I think that matchup would be pretty good.
Well, Bam also doesn't love Miles Turner, as we've discussed here on the program.
That will go personal, I think. There'd be 2 matchups there, personal. And I wouldn't expect Sabonis back. I really feel like Indy went into this and they were openly saying that they were not about winning necessarily. And this was more about getting through it alive. Surviving, I think was the exact term they used. So they're going to be super careful. Sabonis is like their biggest asset, especially with the precarious Oladipo stuff. So, I don't think that they're going to push him to get back on the floor. So I would not expect to have Sabonis in the playoffs.
Oh my God, we've got a new voice here.
Hey,
Corey joins us from Clutch NBA. He's responsible for that video that came out. Let's throw you right in because we don't wait here. Indiana or Philadelphia? We talked about it on the thread. No Simmons, no Sabonis. Who do you want?
No Simmons. I want Philly. Otherwise, Indy. I mean, if Simmons playing in the first round, I want Indy. I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah,
it makes that big a difference for you. By the way, is that actually sun behind you, Kylie? I did not think that actually. I mean, I know it's supposed to always sunny in Philadelphia, but it never is when I'm there.
It was actually raining earlier, but I don't know. They said the hurricane was going to pass through here, and I guess like it kind of did, but it really it rained like on and off like half a day, and that was it.
So I love this. You left South Florida. You're homeless. You left South Florida to track the hurricane in a plane during COVID.
I brought it with me
during COVID time.
Miami hurricane, baby.
You've brought right exactly. You've let and while you're there, by the way, one of the most important Miami Hurricane just opted out for the season. By the way,
yes, but also we signed multiple 5-star recruits. So
well, they're never playing college football again, Kylie. So it doesn't matter. But
listen, I will storm the gates at Hard Rock Stadium in a hazmat suit. Okay, this is my last year.
You'll have to because they're testing there today. So you could rush right past the testers because there's not going to be anything going on in that stadium.
I've already tested negative.
I know I was not so fortunate.
I'm good to go.
Adam, let's go to you on this. Let's continue this subject. Most important player for the Heat today to pull off an upset is
Nunn, without a question. He has to show up. He shows up, then it's a competitive game. If he doesn't show up, I don't see how the Heat keep up.
Well, what is the problem there? Do we think because he didn't look like he can't look? He was gone for what? He missed the beginning of the bubble because he tested positive. He got there. He's had, from what I heard, was a couple good practices. I thought he played okay in his first scrimmage game back. He was rusty. He looked a little bit better in the second one, and he just has not looked good at all the last 3 games. Like it's not just the shooting. He's going under screens instead of going over screens. Like we've seen this before with certain guys on this team. Like I remember Mario Chalmers in the 2014 finals was going through some girl trouble. And it kind of and to the point that like LeBron was trying to figure it out. And I always tell this. He tapped me on the shoulder on the way out of his press room and goes, "Could you find out what the fuck is going on with Rio?" And I'm like, so that's how bad it was. I don't know what's going on with Kendrick, but it just seems like he's not there. Like we've seen this with other Heat players in the past.
I think it's a confidence thing, just like Hero was with those first 2 games. He was kind of getting a slow start and stuff. I think once Nunn gets a few good games in where he gets his shot going in and early, that's the key, is getting it going in the first quarter. I think it's a little bit of a confidence thing, and then soon he'll get in a groove as he did earlier in the season.
Is it just confidence though, Greg? It looks like, I don't know. I mean, partially that, but it's I don't know.
I mean, I think that there's something to be said for that. He's already kind of an up and down defensive player. And I think that the offensive struggles absolutely impact him on the defensive end on some regard and just kind of accelerate some of what he already does. That's tough. But just overall, it seems as if there's something that's preoccupying. I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much. I don't know what's going on in his personal life, and I don't want to make any kind of, implications that way, but it just seems like he's a little detached from, I don't know, like you don't see him with the same level of intensity, passion. It's kind of, fire in the eyes kind of stuff. So something just, and I don't know, maybe he's winded. Maybe there's still some physical parts of this that he's coming back from. I didn't 100% ever hear whether he was asymptomatic or what. So I don't know. Maybe there's some of that.
He said he was.
Oh, okay.
As was Bam. Yeah, no, he said he was. But I think he might have said he had a cold or something. But he said he was. But I've always noticed with him too, though, that for as good a season as he had, and he belongs in the top 3 or 4 in Rookie of the Year voting, as good a season he has, again, we always sort of talk about him outside the core a little bit. When you see, when like I forgot, was it Slam Magazine did the thing where they did Bam and Jimmy and Hero together?
Yeah.
It does seem sometimes like he's a little bit outside the circle at times, whereas Tyler seems very much in the circle.
Big time.
And that just seems even more detached right now. I don't know. So.
Well, I want to say that I appreciate, like, Nunn's obviously been having troubles, but I think, like, and I know Duncan has not the last game or 2, but I'm really, like, I know we had a couple of games where like the shooting just like wasn't there, and that worries me so much. Like I know we've been like the last game was really good and stuff like that, but for me it's got to be like Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero coming up with those threes, because if we don't have those, I mean, look at how many points we've gotten off threes in the last few games. I mean, it's been ridiculous. All of our points are coming off threes, and we're starting off so high. I think we start off last game with like 4 or 5 threes. That's what we need, I think. So I think if Duncan has another off game, like we might be shot.
Yeah, well, and the other thing about it is 2 of their top 3 guys in terms of getting to the line are not playing today.
Yeah,
so it's not just ball handlers, but you don't have Butlers, with 9, 10 free throws a game. You don't have Dragic's 4 or 5. So unless Bam is uber aggressive, and the other thing I think we should consider here is Milwaukee's playing everybody today. They just got embarrassed. Okay.
Lost 5 out of 6
by a G League Nets team. They lost 5 out of 6. They've lost both games to the Heat. They've heard for months that the Heat are the team that matches up the best with them, and now the national media has caught on to that.
Yep, the Ringer did like a Giannis stopper chart, and Bam was at the.
Bam,
you don't think
Bam was
Giannis
number
sees
one.
that?
Kendrick Perkins, for some god-awful reason, is a Heat supporter now, and he was pushing them against the Bucks. And of course, and you can buy this T-shirt at 5reasonsports.com for the low price of $17. Giannis Bam 2021. So they're hearing about that too, and that's not going to be happening in Milwaukee. So I just feel like all of those factors today, and I say that as someone who took the 9.5 points, all of those factors today would make me a little bit uncomfortable on the Heat side. Not just Jimmy and Dragic being out, but I feel like the Bucks are going to take this game seriously.
What happens if the Heat win, though? Like, then where do we go with this? Because I'm going to be hope trafficking.
And Giannis comes here.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
That's it.
Winner today gets Giannis.
Yes.
Winner today gets Giannis. But I guess get back to it, Adam. Though, like, I mean, should there be concern about Milwaukee? Because I felt like this, so to speak, flattened the curve in the Eastern Conference. Like, Milwaukee lost some of the momentum that they had going into the break. They have some older guys that are going to take a little bit longer to get back into it. Is this a blip that they haven't looked good in the bubble?
Honestly, I think they're just coasting through these 8 games. Like, it's not that big a deal. They just want to get to the playoffs healthy. But I wouldn't be shocked if they came into this game and they had this game circled as the game that they come into with playoff mentality, because they've been hearing it. They know they haven't beaten the Heat. Just imagine if you go into the second round against the Heat and you haven't beaten them in the regular season.
Right.
That affects your psyche.
Well, that ultimately doesn't matter. But yes, I will talk about it. The media will talk about it. But I always go back to the Big Three era, and
the Bulls beating them 4 times.
Could beat Chicago, and then they beat them both 4-1. Right. So I don't know how much it matters, but they will hear about it. I mean, they're definitely going to hear about it. And the Heat, as I said months ago, have become like the cute, like, hipster team. I mean, like they've caught on. Like it's like when when ESPN personalities come down to South Beach and they discover Wynwood accidentally. Like the Heat or Wynwood. It's like, oh my god, it's all right over here.
And I think
I like that analogy.
I think Toronto, like how we said the other day, how Toronto kind of showed like their Duncan Robinson thing. Like we didn't understand why they would show it so early. Maybe the Bucks might showcase that a little bit too early as well, and maybe that's something the Heat are thinking about, kind of sitting out Goran and Jimmy, kind of not saying that if we face them in the second round in a series, we don't want to showcase anything like that.
That's interesting. Eric usually isn't that sly, but it's possible. He tends to be one of these people. Like Eric's like I am with my daughter. Like if I have a gift hidden, I'll give it to her 3 days early because I can't wait.
Leads with the chin.
Right. Right. He's going to show you what he has, but it's possible. I think, to me, the more interesting of the two, Goran I thought was going to sit. The more interesting of the situations is, when does Jimmy play again? I mean, are you going to shut Jimmy down for the next 4 games?
He's playing the indie game. He's playing the indie game. He's got to be.
And there's 2 indie games.
There's two.
He's playing both.
I don't know if we talked about this, but because I'm kind of, I guess maybe I might be out of the loop. But what was the thing with Jimmy? Because I know he missed, and then everyone was freaking out, and then it was fine. But now he's got this like ankle soreness.
Well, I'll just put it this way. I'll just put it this way. People around Jimmy have gone totally dark about the situation. People that I usually communicate with. So I don't.
Isn't that suspicious?
Yes, it is suspicious. Yes, Greg and I have been trying to dig into it. I don't really understand it. I mean, there was talk about why he wasn't on the bench in the last game. We'll see if he is this time. Reynolds did report that he is in the building and he was in the locker room and wearing slippers without a limp. I don't really know. I mean, obviously he didn't test positive for COVID because he was back the next day. Could he have missed a test? It's possible that memo came out from the league right after that, or there was another player that was involved in that situation about how they're going to change the rules about missing a test. So that's possible too. The thing that struck me as odd the other day was that Eric told the media an hour before the game that everybody was available to play, and then Jimmy didn't play. And
very elusive.
It was very strange, and he hasn't addressed it. And then Jimmy, usually the Heat will take 2 buses to an arena. I don't know what they're doing up there. It's a little bit different. Usually so I thought it's possible Jimmy wasn't on Eric's bus that then showed up. And where's Jimmy? Because he was not on the bench. So is he hiding back in the locker room? I'm not really sure. But I will tell you, people around him who are usually pretty open about things and will tell you are not talking.
Another thing that stuck out was, it was at first, it was an ankle soreness. And then it started and now it's a foot, right?
They've switched it, and that's bizarre, though. That's two. And I don't want to put too much not my tinfoil hat is not on at all, but it's just a little weird to
This is QAnon, Greg.
Right? I'm signing off right now. But to come out with the ankle and now to say foot, it's one of two things I think, and this is 100% speculation, is that either they're just kind of shifting around the description of the injury to just buy him as much time to rest as possible. Mm-hmm. Or it actually, what they thought was an ankle is a foot, and that can end up being a little bit more it can hinder you a little bit longer. So I think it is something that we need to monitor if it truly is a foot. But it seems as if he's going to be okay if he's kind of in the gym in sandals with no limp. But it's been rather strange.
I think it's a positive sign that he was in the building today because we were unsure. I mean, we honestly, Greg and I were discussing whether he left the bubble. So he's there. That's a good thing. And, now you kind of address it. I mean, if he keeps missing more and more time, look, the Heat are able to keep this stuff secret when they have reporters all over them in Miami. Okay. Now they have only one reporter who covers the Heat who's up there. And, I'm pretty confident that if they want him to keep something quiet, that he might. So
yes,
it's very challenging to really get information. I mean, they basically kept the Winslow thing under wraps for 4 months.
Yeah.
Okay. So
even the Bam stuff and Kendrick Nunn, you would have thought maybe Woj or someone would have gotten onto that information as other players got out, and that didn't ever. I mean, they never even alluded to it until it was 100% public knowledge.
Well, and Woj has no sources with the Heat, as many know. He's the same agent as Eric, so occasionally there'll be some stuff there, but that's it. All right, final thoughts today. Let's go around the horn because we want to get to the game in 30 seconds or less. The Heat are getting 9.5 points. Let's do it that way. Kylie, you like the Heat? You taking the points or you giving them?
I don't know if I would take 9.5, but I would take the Heat win for sure. 9.5.
No. It's the other way. They're getting 9.5.
Yeah.
Bucks are
so they can lose by 8.
Okay. Yeah.
You like the Heat today. All right, you like the Heat today.
Well, who do they have? Giannis. That's it.
For now.
He's coming here anyways.
For now, right?
He's basically playing for us already. It's fine.
That's I think the Philadelphia Air has we'll see. We'll see when you get back to Miami. Adam,
listen, I need something to hope for.
I think if the Bucks are going into this game the way I think they are, it's really tough. I'm taking the Bucks by a lot.
Brady?
Yeah, I'd probably have to take the Bucks just because without 2 major playmakers and ball handlers on this team, it's tough to predict the Heat win, but I think I'd have to probably go with Milwaukee.
Greg, you hope
Jay Crowder 3 for the win. Jay Crowder 3 for the win. I'm calling it now.
All right. Well, I didn't give you enough credit after the Boston game, and you deserved it. I'm taking the Heat to cover, but not to win. I think that they'll be competitive in this game, but I think ultimately Milwaukee hits some free throws late and pulls away. I just think these are 2 teams that are approaching this game from a slightly different angle, and I don't think it means anything for what we're going to see when they see each other in a month. And I do think they're going to see each other in a month. But for right now,
I think they're going to surprise you.
They look, if Duncan and Hero have those games, and remember, he's not in Milwaukee, but there is, Hero has, there's a thing there. Okay. Bucks fans will be paying a lot of attention to Tyler Hero. They're still angry at him for not staying up there and going down to Kentucky. So there will be some stuff there, and I'm expecting Tyler to play well.
Didn't he get death threats?
Yes. If he and Nunn and Hero, if he and Nunn and Robinson make, I don't know, 10 threes between them, you got a chance. But I like the Bucks by 6. All right, we'll be back. Fake fan. Was that Mike Wallace? Which
Mike Wallace? Wait.
Mike Wallace from Memphis, or Mike Wallace, the former Dolphin receiver, or Mike Wallace, the dead reporter? All right, that's it. Nunn will have a breakout game today. We'll let Angelo finish. Thanks for everybody joining us. We'll be back at halftime. 5 on the Floor crew will be back after the game. Alf and Alex will be here at some point too. Alf will be drunk. Just assume that.
Correct.